everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. Today's video is going to be a full face of first impressions and sort of a review of the OXX cosmetic brand that you can find in Kmart Australia. I did a haul of everything that I'm going to use in this video like a week and a half ago, so if you haven't seen that already, I will attempt to remember to link it either somewhere on the screen or down in the description box below, or you can just go into my channel and search it from there. But in that video I covered all of the swatches and sort of like dug my finger into everything. So example for the eyeshadow quads and things like that, if you want to see kind of like the pigmentation and that sort of stuff, go over and watch that video, because I'm not really going to do it in this video. This one is purely going to be how the makeup actually applies to my face, not necessarily swatching it. This video is going to be basically how it applies on the face and how it sort of sits and works on the skin. If you haven't seen any of my one brand full face videos ever before, I basically get everything out of a brand that I can in order to do a full face, and I don't substitute any products. So if you have seen any of my videos before, you know I love wearing false lashes. OXX Cosmetics is one of the brands that do not have their own lashes, so all I will be using is the mascara that I picked up. They do have things like primer and setting spray, so all of those things I can use in this video. But essentially, if the brand doesn't make it, I don't do it on my face. So I don't substitute any product or anything like that. I am not actually going to be doing a look like a, you know, like a tutorial, like, oh, you could do this look yourself, mainly because I just want to put as much of the product on my face as possible. So the lip color may not really match the look, but that's because I'm trying to get as much of the products on my face to let you know what is good, what you can pick up, what you should pick up if you're here in Australia, because OXX Cosmetics, you can't buy it online, so it is only for Australian shoppers. So I'm going to jump straight into it. Now, I think what I'm going to do first is my eyes, just in case the eyeshadow has some fallout. So I'm going to work on my eyes first. And what I'm going to put down as a base is the concealer. So they don't have any ingredients on the back here, which kind of worries me a little bit. Like, if you can see it there, it literally just is product information. So the 24 months validity once it's been opened, and where it was made, and a batch number. That's pretty much it. So there's no ingredients at all on the actual product itself. So if you like checking ingredients, be aware of that. OXX is one of those brands that literally only has light, medium, dark. So it's really not going to be for everybody. So I'm just going to use the concealer as a primer. This brand may have a primer for the eyes, but I couldn't find it. I ended up going to 2 Kmart stores and I couldn't find it. So if they do have it, I'm sorry if I'm not using it. What I'm going to use to blend this out is this little marble pattern sponge that I also picked up in Kmart. This isn't the OXX brand, but I did pick this up. It was only a couple of dollars, and I have already wet it, and it is quite spongy and quite soft. So we'll give it a go for this tutorial to see how it works as well. But I'll just use that to blend in this concealer. I kind of feel like all that did was give me a yellow tint. It hasn't actually concealed anything. Okay. With that in mind about the concealer, I am just going to skip over that. And I'm just going to put a wash of colour over my lid, and I'm going to take this one out of the Quad Champagne. And I'm just going to take this like white cream colour and just wash that all over the lid up to the brow bone. Okay, so first impressions on that eyeshadow, as you can see, pigment is definitely not a problem. I kind of look a little bit like a clown at the moment, but the pigment is not an issue. I will say it is quite powdery though, so it's smooth. It's like an odd texture. It's smooth, but it is a little bit kind of powdery. but once you sort of use your brush to kind of blend it in and feather it back and forward, it actually does go on really quite nice. It's not patchy, it's not shifting, like the brush isn't shifting the product around either. And I'm just using the AOA Studio brushes, which I did a review on my blog. I picked these up from Shop Miss A and I love them. It was $10 for a whole set. Next, what I'm going to do is go into the other quad that I picked up. And this one is in Summer Pudding. And I'm just going to take the matte brown shade and you put that in my crease as a transition color. So that is the brown shadow in my crease lid thing. I'm never very gentle with my eyeshadow. I kind of just stick it anywhere, mainly because I have hooded eyelids and so you can't tell where I put it anyway. As for that color, again, same thing. It was a little bit powdery, but then once you start to work it in with your brush, it actually settles in really quite well. There is pretty much no fallout on my face at all. So the color has stuck exactly where I've put it down with the brush. And it was very easy to blend. Like, there is no issues blending it at all. It is working really well with that white cream base. And I am really impressed. So next up, I think I'm just going to take this color out of the Summer Pudding quad and just put it all over the lid. And I'm just going to take that one on a flat shader brush. This is the first shimmery shade from it that I am trying. So there it is on the back of the brush there. So this is the first shimmer shade. Everything else so far has been matte. And we'll see how it goes with a brush, or if it needs to be applied with a finger. So there it is on my lid there, just with a dry brush. It honestly doesn't look that bad. I'm going to flip the brush over and spritz it with some of the OXX setting spray, and I'll just see if it applies better when wet, and then on the other eye I'll just try it with my finger. Yeah, okay, so I feel like this applies much better when the brush is wet. This shadow though, as you can see, has a lot of fallout. There it is there. I have used my finger to put on this side, and then the first dry and then wet brush on that side. I think the pigmentation on both is fairly similar, so those shadows work quite well if your brush is dry, or if your brush is wet, or if you're using your finger to pack on the pigment. I think that color is stunning, but obviously it does have a fair bit of fallout. So if you do happen to pick this up and you are going to use that shade, be aware of that. Maybe either don't do your base or be baking underneath so you can wipe all of it away. I'm just going to put the OXX gel liner over the top. I did say in that swatch video that this has started to separate in the bottle, so I don't know if it's gonna, there we go. So if you can see it there, it's just starting to separate in the bottle a little bit, and when I tried it on the back of my hand, it was quite runny and quite patchy. So I'm just going to give it a good shake and we'll see if I can make this work. Okay, I can't get this to focus, but there it is out of the tube, so you can just see there it is just like a felt tip liner. And we'll just go straight in to trying to line with it. Okay, so there is my eyeliner. I'm having a very bad eyeliner day today. They just didn't want to cooperate, but I think that is more user error, not product error. As far as how that actually went on, it was easy to apply. I mean, if you've ever applied wing liner, you know sometimes it's just a little bit of a bitch fight to get it to work for you. It has applied well. It doesn't seem to, like, it's uneven on this eye, but I just couldn't get it to work. And I have a feeling it could be because the this shadow, when you apply it, is quite crumbly. It was the shadow with the most fallout by far. So I have a feeling that the eyeliner is grabbing onto the crumbled part of the eyeshadow and it's just making it not very smooth. But the actual eyeliner itself, when I swatched it on the back of my hand in that video, it was bleeding a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be bleeding at the moment. It was a little bit more pigmented than when I swatched it in that video as well. And it seemed to apply without too much trouble. It has dried down complete to a matte. And it seems to be okay. One thing I will definitely say is do not play around with this eyeliner. So don't sit there and really try and be really finicky with it and try to go over it and over it and over it. Because if you do that, it seems that it will lift the liner that you've already put down. So it will actually shift underneath itself if you keep trying to go over it all the time. Unless you let it dry for a little bit first, then you can apply a second layer if it's not fully opaque. This is about I've gone over it about twice. And it seems fairly opaque, but on this side, as I said before, this side is the one that is really struggling. The next thing I'm going to do is apply some mascara. Now, OXX didn't have any eyelash curlers, so I'm not going to be curling my lashes, and you may already be able to tell I have really quite baby lashes, like they're very small. I really like wearing false lashes because my lashes are nigh on non-existent. So one of the mascara, well, I only picked up one because I could only find one, it's just the waterproof mascara in brown. So it is going to be not black, so it may not go with this, but we'll see how it just applies on its own merit to the lashes. So it is just a fat brush, and we'll just get straight into it. Okay, so there is one coat of this mascara on my lashes. So bear in mind, this is only one coat. So I'm just going to come really creepy close to the camera and just sort of look up so you can kind of see what it's done to the lashes, and then look down. So there is obviously product on my lashes. I have to be honest, this isn't the worst mascara I've ever applied to my lashes. I feel like it would work much better with a second coat, so I am going to let this dry a little bit and then apply a second coat. Even though it is brown, there is definitely product on my lashes. Sometimes with brown mascaras you can put it on and it looks like there's nothing at all. But this actually does look like there is something on my lashes. It is not particularly lengthening or thickening. It doesn't seem to have done anything amazing for my natural lashes except coat them in a color. So, which is fair enough because this didn't claim to do anything. If I remember correctly on the box, I don't think it had anything like that. I don't think it was like it is a lengthening or volumizing mascara. I think it was just, this is our mascara. Okay, so there we are with a second coat. It has made them a little bit thicker, but definitely not any longer. I kind of have the feeling, just based off this first impression, that I would actually like this mascara if I curled my lashes, or like it in combination with another mascara. I'm going to move on now and just clean up under my eyes so we can move on with the base. I actually picked up two primers from OXX. So I got this one, which is the mineral primer in brightening, so it has that purple tone, and then this one, which is their pore filler. When I was swatching them, they both feel pretty much identical. They both feel very silicone-y, so if you don't like a silicone primer or your skin doesn't like a silicone primer, you probably want to steer well clear of these. So even though they are basically identical, I am actually going to do one half of my face with this primer and then the other half of my face with this primer, just so we can see how they both work and if this one has any particular brightening properties and how well this one actually does fill up your pores. I'll do the pore filler first. I'll do it on this side of my face. On the other side now, I'm just going to use the brightening primer. Right, so straight off the bat, this side of my face is purple, this side of my face is orange. So that would hopefully lead me to think that maybe this primer actually does have a little bit of brightening properties, because it is extremely obvious on my monitor that this side of my face is a little bit purple. In real life, it doesn't look quite as obvious, but I can see particularly here on my cheek and a little bit up here on my forehead, I can see that I have a little bit of a purple tinge. So the foundation that I picked up is just their matte foundation. Now you might be able to see that it is separating in the tube, and no matter how much you shake it, it does not go back together again. And again, I'm just going to use the marble sponge to blend it out. So I'll just do one side of my face first. The foundation is like medium in terms of runny and thick. So we'll do the pore side first. So there is one layer of this foundation on my face. You can definitely tell that it has quite easily cancelled out a lot of the redness in my skin. However, this is quite yellow. It doesn't look so bad on the camera, but in real life, I can actually kind of see it oxidizing right in front of me. I don't like the look of this foundation. It looks really quite patchy, and it looks like it has picked up on any bit of texture. Like, I don't even know if this is going to show you, but here on my forehead, like, it is really quite patchy. It's picking up on my little mustache hairs, and you can see here, like, in terms of the jawline, just how yellow it is to my skin tone. Even though I am pale, I am not yellow undertone. And you've got a little bit of color peeking through here as well. I will do the other side of my face. It may not be quite as obvious once the other side is blended in as well. And to be fair, it also could be this sponge. I've never used this sponge before. Okay, so there is now both sides of my face done. Even with both sides of my face done, I don't love this foundation. The color is honestly something you can live with. You can always live with a bad color to an extent, obviously. Because you can bronze up your face and that sort of stuff. You can mix in other foundation shades to make it a little bit more correct for you. But I just don't like the finish of this foundation. It is definitely matte, so it's not lying about that. It is 100% matte. There is no shine or glow to my skin at all, which makes me wonder about the brightening primer. Looking at my face side by side, looking at my face in the mirror, one side does not look brighter or any different to the other side. They both look pretty much identical. It's done something very strange on my forehead there. You can kind of see the texture, and it seems to be picking up, like, it's almost like when you put something wet on your face and then you put a powder over it and it starts to get a little bit cakey. It started to do that there on my forehead, and it's picking up a lot of texture. So hopefully you can see it there. Like, it is quite patchy, and it is just, particularly here, like, it's just, I don't know, it's going very cakey. It's just not very nice. Even on my nose, it's starting to do the same thing. It's starting to get quite cakey and quite patchy. It's definitely not like a BB cream coverage. It has covered my imperfections. It has definitely evened out my skin tone for the most part, but it is just too yellow, starting to oxidize, so it's actually starting to get darker. And this was the light shade, so keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. And I did pick up a cream contouring stick, which was the only contouring product I could find. So I'm going to attempt to cream contour, but I do have the sneaking suspicion that all this is going to do is shift the foundation, but we will see. I guess you can kind of see the contouring stick, but not a lot. It has sort of blended away to near on nothing, and has definitely shifted the foundation underneath it. Like, you can see particularly on this side here, there is a line from where I was blending, and it has just shifted. I'm going to try again, but do a thicker line of the color, and we'll see what happens. And just really build it up. I think one of the biggest issues is that this shade is not a perfect contouring shade. I did, even though I said I wasn't going to swatch it, I did swatch it in that video, but just to show you, it's quite, like, it's quite a warm colour for contouring. Normally for me, well for me anyway, I much prefer a more ashier colour to contour with because it actually just helps to create the shadow. And this is not very ashy, it's quite warm, so it's almost like cream bronzing. It doesn't seem to have shifted the product, like the foundation, sorry, as much as what it did on the first application. Now it doesn't seem to have moved it as much, and looking straight on at the camera, I can definitely see where I have put the product because it is a different shade and it does look a little bit contoured, but as I said before, it actually looks more bronzy to me than contour. I also did pick up the highlighting stick, so I am going to give it a go if I can get it out. There it is. Oh my god. So that has completely just wiped off all of the foundation that was on my nose. So let me just try and, oh my god, anywhere it goes. Okay, so that was a colossal fail. If you can see there, just come scary close again. Just look at that mess. So everywhere where I just put the highlighting stick and tried to blend it in with the sponge, it has completely lifted all of the foundation off my face in that particular area. So all here, even on my jaw there. Hasn't really seemed to have done it there, which is odd. And there. Right. So that's not amazing. So I'm going to try and fix it up if I can. It is beyond saving. The more I'm using the sponge to move everything around and to try and blend it together, the more it's moving and shifting and just not settling down. My forehead is just getting really quite cakey. So instead of continuing to do that, I am going to leave it alone. And what I will do instead is move on with blush. So the blush that I picked up is this really pretty kind of iridescent-y pink blush, and this is in the shade Peony. And I'm just going to pop that onto the apples of my cheek. That blush is frickin' pigmented. So without completely stuffing this up, I think that's the best I'm going to be able to get this blush. That blush is quite pigmented. I think it's very, very pretty. It does have a little bit of an iridescence to it. So if you prefer 100% matte blushes, you probably don't want to pick this one up. It was not patchy though. It didn't go on patchy and it didn't shift any of the base underneath it. So far that one seems quite good. I'm just going to move straight on into highlighter. And I picked up this one, which is just their highlighting kit. So it just has the 3 highlighters there. And they seem to have one that is more matte and then gold and then more like of a champagne-y shimmer. So I'm just going to jump into the champagne one and put that on and we'll see what it does. It's a little more pink in undertone. So it's not quite champagne. It is a little bit more pink than champagne. But I'm hoping that the camera is picking that up. It's actually really quite a pretty sheen. It is more natural. Then what I'm going to do is eyebrows because they're irritating me. So I picked up the eyebrow kit, which just looks like this one, and again they have it in light, medium, dark. I picked it up in medium because it was the only one that they had. Now they do have a little eyebrow brush here, so I am actually going to attempt to use it. So there are my brows done. To be honest with you, I really don't think I'm having a great makeup day. My brows didn't want to cooperate either. As for the actual brow powder, I quite like it. It does seem to have a little bit, well, on camera it seems to have quite a bit of a reddy undertone, and in real life it seems to be just more of a darker brown. I don't mind it. It wasn't patchy. The powder was like pigmented for what you want in a brow powder. And it was easy to work with, so I don't mind that at all. But as I said, the shape of my brows today, just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Next thing that I'm going to do is the finishing powder. So I am just going to dab that all over my face because we clearly don't want to lose this amazing makeup look. The powder applied quite nice. It feels nice and finely milled. But I will say all it has done is emphasize the forehead issue that I've been having. So it is now looking very patchy with no product. So it doesn't look amazing. I'm going to finish up with my lips. And I think I'm going to do the combination of the lip pencil and the lip gloss that I picked up, but what I will do after that is also wipe it off and do an application of the brown liquid lipstick that I got because that was really quite nice. But before I do that, this is the lip primer. Now I have a funny feeling that by putting this on now, I should have done it at the beginning of the video, but by putting it on now, it's probably going to mean this won't actually apply properly. So I'm actually going to give that a... No, fuck it. Okay, I'll apply it. So this just feels like a very dry balm, and it has given me a white cast to my lips. To be honest, don't spend your money on it. I can already tell you that. Okay, so this lip liner that I got is in the shade... It doesn't have a shade on here. It was in that video. So I'm just going to apply this to my lips. Okay, so there is just the lip liner on my face. It is... on my lips. It is quite creamy. It didn't apply with any issue with that primer on underneath it. It's creamy, it feels fine, very pigmented, not very difficult to use at all. And over the top of that, I am going to put in the lip gloss Pink Pop, which is just this really pretty pinky watermelon-y kind of colour. And it just has a flat doe foot applicator. So there is the lip gloss on my lips. I really quite like it. It is not a tacky lip gloss. As you can tell, my lips are not sticking together. Feels really nice on the skin. Wait 1 second. Forgot to put that colour on underneath my eye. Going back to the what is this? The Summer Pudding palette thing. Going to take that purple just so we can see what it looks like. So I'm just going to run it under here. I know I haven't put any concealer on down here, but it basically is because I don't think the concealer is going to do anything anyway. So I'm just going to take some of this purple and just run it quite close to the lash line. I am just going to let that mascara dry for a couple of seconds before I spritz my face. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is wipe off my lips, and I will put on the combination of the dark brown lipstick and liner. This is what the lip liner by itself looks like, that brown one, and then with the brown liquid lipstick. Okay, so that's pretty much like the worst application in the world. However, let's ignore that and look at the color. I think this brown is really quite pretty and flattering. Very good for autumn, winter. Not quite so much a spring, summer kind of lipstick. It is an absolutely stunning brown. I know my lips are uneven. I am the worst at lip liner and whatever. But the actual pigmentation here is really even. That applied super easy. It feels really nice on the skin. It doesn't feel very drying at all on the lips, which is a bit amazing. Now that that mascara has dried, I am going to just spritz my face with the finishing spray. I've just taken my hair down to try and hide some of this fiasco. I don't know if you can actually tell, but on my face I have splotches of liquid. So even though when you spray this, it looks sort of fine, when you're actually spraying it at your face, it feels like you literally have a sprinkler coming at you. So it is not a fine mist. I have splotches of water and liquid all over my face that still haven't dried, even though I used a fan. In the haul, I did pick up 5 of these lip glosses, but in the haul I also discovered that these lip glosses have pretty much no color. They are like a very, very bad tint and are just a gloss, so there's really no point in me putting them on at all in this video. Now that my face is done, I'm going to just do a very quick rundown of all of the products and give you my final thoughts. So starting off with the concealer, I would not spend money on this. As for the eyeshadows, and I also do have a duo here that I just didn't get to use in this video, but as for these eyeshadows that are around that $2 or $4 each, these are absolutely amazing. I would definitely recommend picking some of these up if you see them. The next thing is the eyeliner. I have a little bit of mixed feelings with this just because I don't think I had very strong eyeliner game today, whether that was user error or partly the product's fault. I think I'm going to have to play with it a little bit more and get back to you on my final thoughts about it. In terms of first impressions, it seems to have applied without too much of an issue. It doesn't honestly look that bad on my eyes. If I was to leave the house like this right now, I wouldn't be fretting about my eyeliner being the worst thing on my face, put it that way. Next product is the mascara. I actually really don't mind this. I mean, my eyelashes aren't curled and I haven't done anything to them to help the mascara to perform, but at the same time, I don't think my lashes look as bad as what they have looked in the past with other mascaras. So the mascara I think is actually pretty good. I'm going to move on to face. So the next thing is the 2 primers. I honestly don't have an issue with these primers. In terms of if they actually made my pores any smaller or smoother or brighten the skin, I don't think this one necessarily brightened the skin, but also because of the foundation, I don't know if that was more the foundation's fault or the primer. But my skin does feel quite smooth, so these are okay. They're only a couple of dollars. I think they're about $2, the primers. So if you see them and you want to give them a go and you like silicone based primers, I think these ones are probably worth picking up to give it a go. The next thing is the foundation. I don't think I really have to say much on it. My thoughts of this I think have been pretty clear. I think this foundation is absolutely crap and not worth $2. I don't think it is worth your coin at all. In terms of the contour and the highlighting stick, it's kind of the same situation with the foundation. I don't absolutely love them straight off the bat, but then again, I don't know if that's because of the foundation underneath wasn't a very solid base and so it was shifting it. I actually don't mind the contouring stick, I just think it's the wrong shade for contouring. And in terms of the highlighting stick, you saw what happened, it moved everything, and I don't know if that was the actual highlighter itself or whether it was the foundation underneath. So I think these ones are going to need a little bit more of a play for final impressions. However, they didn't blow me away straight off the bat. So I think these ones are at the moment a pass. The next thing I'm going to talk about is just the blush. I think this is a very, very pretty blush. I just think you have to be careful with it. It is very pigmented. As for the highlighting quad, even though I only did try one of the colors, I really like this. I think my highlight looks really pretty. It is not super in your face that it is unbearable. So if you see this highlighting kit, 100% I would say pick it up. As for the eyebrow kit, I think it was good. I think it did its job. I mean, my eyebrows look filled in, so I don't hate it and I don't love it. It's a finishing powder. I mean, I can't really say much about this powder. Again, because of the foundation, I'm not sure if the powder just sort of highlighted a lot of the patchiness that is on my forehead or if the powder is any good by itself. It was a little bit hard to get out of the container, but it did feel finely milled and it felt nice on my skin. So this is one of those ones again where it's, if you went to go pick this up in the store and I was with you, I'd probably go, you can or you can't. It doesn't really matter. The next thing I'm just going to, I mean, the lip primer, there's really nothing I can say about this. I wouldn't say pick it up. It is literally just a clear balm. As for the pink lip gloss and lip liner. Oh God, I'm dropping everything. As for these two, I think these are very good. They're very cheap. The lip gloss is absolutely stunning and will probably be one of my favorite lip products throughout summer because it is not sticky or gloopy, but it does look very pretty. And same thing for the lip liner. This was really smooth. It didn't grab it or scratch at my skin. As for the brown kit, I absolutely love this. I think the pigmentation of this lipstick is amazing for $4. I think it is absolutely stunning. And the final thing is the setting spray. I mean, now that my face has had a couple more minutes to dry, I can't see any watermarks on my skin, but having said that, I shouldn't need to wait for that to happen. So when it comes to setting sprays, I don't like it if they are thick. I much prefer them to have a fine mist. See if this can pick it up. Like, you might be able to see it there, how much water is, or how much liquid is coming out of the spritzer. It's workable. If you're in a bind and you need a really cheap setting spray and that's the only one around, by all means pick it up. I think that is it for this extremely long video. Thank God I didn't do any swatches in it. I have been filming for an hour and a half, so it'll be very interesting on how I can cut this down. I hope you did enjoy this video. And if you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. I have a couple of other makeup brands that I want to do for this series. So I am slowly gathering together my Essence collection and my Australis collection. And I think there's like one or two other ones. But either way, I hope you did find this video either entertaining or useful or interesting or a combination of all three. And that is about it. I'm going to wrap it up and I will see you in the next video. Bye!